Hello everybody and welcome back to the funniest tweets. Today we are going to be reflecting on the Zandvoort Dutch Grand Prix, and I just want to say very happy to be back. Formula 1 has finally returned after the summer break, and we're not going to talk about the fact that there is another break that is just as long if not longer coming at the end of September, but right now we've got Formula 1 back for a little while, so we're going to enjoy it. I don't know about you lot, but for me, my weekends just don't make any sense when Formula 1 is not on, when I don't have practice to watch on Friday, qualifying, well, and obviously FP3 on the Saturday. It's just so much more calm in my head when I've got Formula 1 to enjoy. And look, Zandvoort didn't deliver what we maybe hoped it would, although it is a track that's very difficult to overtake, but your reactions were amazing, so let's dive into them. Lando and McLaren. Of course, there is a segment about both Lando and McLaren because there were a few things. Obviously, Lando Norris winning the Grand Prix, spoiler alert, but it wasn't the easiest way that they did it, right? There was a few little mishaps. Well, one big mishap. And that was, of course, the start of the race at Spartan Slothniks, letting myself get overtaken on turn 1 by Max to then overtake him later, or leading after turn 1. I wholeheartedly said with my chest in the podcast that Lando Norris would lead the race after turn 1, lap 1. It did not happen. He did lose the lead. I will say that Oscar Piastri behind him had exactly the same start. Now, whether that's a McLaren misjudgment or both the driver's misjudgment, maybe it's a bit of both. But as soon as I saw Max Verstappen take the lead, I was thinking, not again. Lando's going to beat himself up, and I think even after he won, he was still very subdued, and it's probably because he knew that it wasn't a perfect race. I mean, after lap 1, and then getting through on Max, it was perfect. He drove to a 22-second win, but I could just tell that was still in his mind a little bit. At Alex Humphrey 33, Lando Norris touched GB lap 1, the other 71 laps. Very true. He was calm, composed, sat behind Max, and I think he knew quite quickly that he could get Max Verstappen at some point. The McLaren pit wall were pretty chill as well, thinking that if it comes with an overcut, then it will, or maybe Lando will pass him on track. McLaren had an absolute rocket ship of a car today, and they have had a very quick car for many, many races. And finally, in the case of Lando Norris, they delivered today. I did say that the McLaren pit wall were chill. This part was a little bit strange for me. At James Sibella, McLaren pit wall, Lando, are we racing Max? And Lando's quite rightly saying, well, we're fighting the car ahead, aren't we? It was a very odd question for the pit wall to ask Lando, wasn't it? Because you would think that they have quite possibly a billion more strands of information than Lando does in the car, and yet McLaren were asking Lando rather than the other way around, and it was a bit of a bizarre one. I feel as though perhaps McLaren are trying to cover every single angle they possibly can. Let's ask Lando this, let's ask Lando that, let's make sure he's happy. You know, if this happens, are you going to be okay with this? I think they came across the radio later on and said, well, if there's a safety car, we'll go on the mediums, and then, or we won't, but oh, no, we will pit, and then we'll pass Max Verstappen. There was so much conversation. If I was in the car, I'd been like, please stop talking to me. This is Zandvoort, a very narrow, easy to make mistakes, gusty track. And just like magic, this is a meme to sum that up. John_corner, how that radio exchange should have gone. Who are we racing? Do you think it's just Max? I think it's your job to tell me that, to be fair. Had Lando said that, that would have been pretty cold, pretty spicy from Lando. Alas, he didn't, because he's very polite. But he would have been very much in his own, he would have been correct to say that back to his team. At turn to page 394, I doubled my wins this race. Oh, really? From what? 1 to 2? Yes, he did. And he drove brilliantly. And I think this is something that Lando can do. When he's in the lead of the race, he's got that sort of domination skill within him. He just knuckles down and drives. We saw that in Miami when he was fortunate enough to get that into that position, and we've seen it again here. Of course, other races he's made it very difficult for himself because he's lost the lead and then not had the pace in the race to be able to get past and just drive away. But we've seen it here today, and I genuinely believe there is a chance if McLaren and Lando, and Oscar to be fair, work all in unison and just deliver a perfect second half of the season, we could see not just a Constructors win for McLaren, but a Lando Norris Drivers' Champion. It's going to take a lot, don't get me wrong. It's going to take a miracle, because it's Max Verstappen they're up against, but there is a chance. McLaren was so far clear today, but then there are small parts you then dissect from that and you go, Oscar Piastri should have absolutely finished second place today, and that's another 3 points off of Max Verstappen, but they didn't. So with 9 races to go, these are the kind of results they're going to have to get. 1-2s. 1-2s only from here on in. At Nuval_20, Lando after getting sprayed by the sparkling water. Yeah, is it sparkling water? It's champagne, isn't it? But either or. Max Verstappen absolutely drowned Lando with his champagne. Like, you're going to win at my home race, are you? You're going to say simply lovely down the radio? Bam. Absolutely soaked. I did think that Lando was saying simply lovely down the team radio. That's one way to try and rile up the fans, isn't it? Using Max Verstappen's phrase at his home Grand Prix. But either or, Max Verstappen got his own back on the podium. Bottas podium. Now, this needs its own little segment because it was a jump scare. And this is from @Sam_Skeldon. Bottas jump scare. Out of nowhere, Bottas is a lap, maybe even 2 laps down. I'm not entirely sure. That car is horrific. And then he just pops up in P2. Now, I know it's not supposed to happen, but also I feel like he was robbed. P2, like that classification is gospel to me. Bottas should have been P2. Then Gasly popped up, didn't he, in P2? And then you can just tell the panic in that control room at F1. Take that down now. We've got a Norris, Gasly, Bottas podium. And the memes did come flying in about it. Ahmed Bakbar, most unexpected podium this season, and has even made a podium with Gasly and Bottas on it. Yes, quite, to be fair, probably wouldn't have made as much of a scene about it had it not been quite a dull race. Let's say that, right? Put a tweet out, didn't I, saying that there was 20 finishers, no safety cars, no yellow flags, then said, what a banger, and the amount of people that thought I was being serious about it being a banger. That's just social media for you. And then finally on this segment, Rando IE, imagine this being the first image you saw of the race. Imagine you missed it and you just skipped to the end. I mean, you're kind of questioning your F1 loyalty here if you're skipping through highlights to literally the end. But to be fair, karma, because then you would have seen Norris, Gasly, Bottas, and you probably would have had a heart attack. Honourable mentions. Okay, we're into some honourable mentions now. First is from Dipam Kapadia, Leclerc defending. I like that. And it was, of course, Charles defending against the McLaren. Shouldn't have been happening. Oscar Piastri was on, I want to estimate, 10-lap fresher tyres, somewhere around there. And he got past George Russell pretty quickly. And you're thinking if he gets past Charles, then Max Verstappen's in trouble. But he's up against Charles Leclerc, who drove brilliantly, it has to be said. Ferrari were slightly stronger than we've seen in previous races. Of course, Charles did get that podium in Spa, but it was a very difficult race, that one, just to overtake, wasn't it? But Charles, another podium. And yeah, you know what? I was pretty happy, and I am obviously fully delusional that Monza will be when they pull out a top secret upgrade, or they just whip out an illegal engine and just win Monza. And then we just don't talk about it. We just take the W and we move on. But yeah, I'm very surprised that Leclerc stayed ahead of Piastri. And perhaps Oscar did leave quite a bit on the table this weekend to finish 25 odd seconds behind his teammates. Not good enough, unfortunately, for Oscar. At Rando IE, burnt Mylander since Canada. I know, right? I cannot believe no safety car around Zandvoort. One small, just beached car. There's no escape. There has to be a safety car. No yellow flags. What are we doing? Why is everyone so dialed in? Formula One cars are clearly too easy to drive for the best drivers in the world, not for general punters like us. But it's starting to get I'm obviously not saying for crashes, just reliability. Anything to just spice up a race a little bit. F1's getting far too bulletproof when it comes to reliability. At Russ Tim, show during the entire race. Acceleration, no. Zhou gets a free pass, I think. Logan Sargent gets a lot of slander for being so far off of Albon, obviously crashing. Zhou doesn't crash as much, but he is as slow, if not slower, than Logan Sargent. He finished 4 seconds behind Bottas, who obviously finished second. No, he didn't. But Zhou just incredibly anonymous. And I know he's in a terrible car, but Bottas isn't exactly Max Verstappen, is he? Not nowadays in his career. At Shalbrackus, me every time the gyrocam is shown on the live feed. Yep, gyrocam does make me just a tiny bit nauseous sometimes, especially around Zandvoort with the swiveling. But I love it. I think it's brilliant. It shows the motion. It shows the camber of the corners. Obviously, I don't think any of us expected it to go as much, but that is the corner that they're doing. They're literally like that. I really enjoy it. It's another dynamic way of showing the motion and the speed and the cornering of Formula One cars, and I'm all for it because F1 for so long has not been able to do justice about what Formula One cars can do around a circuit, and I love it. Brilliant. Bring more of it. I don't think we're going to see as much. It's not going to be as crazy as that because Zandvoort is the craziest when it comes to the bankings and stuff, but keep it coming. Love it. At Nell_Megan, peak comedy. K-Mag deployed, quarter of the grid passes him. K-Mag did it again. Tried to sacrifice his own race for Nico Hulkenberg to try and get Nico a point. But it was so dangerous. Oh my God. He lifted what looks like he lifted around the banking of the final corner that is quite clearly flat. Obviously coming out the corner, he just lifted a little bit. Alex Albon had to take defense, he had to avoid him. That was the word I was trying to get out of my mouth. And you just know that he slowed down a lot because 4 cars passed him into turn 1. K-Mag just does not care anymore. And I'm surprised he did it because, of course, Haas are binning him off at the end of the year. But still, I'm just so glad nothing crazy has happened from K-Mag's antics because it could have easily happened. At the Swede F1, well, how the turntables. It is a ridiculous turnaround. 48 seconds Max beat Lando in Bahrain, and then Lando beat Max by 22 in round 15. Got a championship on our hands, if there's a miracle and Lando wins the next 9. For him, of course, for McLaren fans, it would be a miracle. We shall see. At Mr. Idiot, just pure speed. The fastest things on Earth. Cheetah, airplane, speed of light. These cars overtaking K-Mag. Well, it's not hard when K-Mag's going 50 miles an hour around the final corner, is it? At Chris Gaming NL, there's another K-Mag one. Sorry. K-Mag during that 5-way battle. It made for some overtaking. It boosted the stats for overtakes. But at the expense of potentially dangerous driving from K-Mag once again. Okay, it's now time for Tommy's Tasty Tweet, sponsored by EA and F124. Tommy, who is winning a copy of that gorgeous game this week?
That winner is Apple Tart. What a name and what a meme. Another GTA Mr. Bean crossover. What a great meme. Yeah, very confusing for Russell to pit, and I think that was all of us when they decided to do it.
It really was. Well done. And I do love an apple tart. I used to love them back in the day. Anyway, this completely side topic, side note. Well done. You win a copy of F124 apple tarts. And we'll see you very soon. Thanks, Tommy.
Bye.
Goodbye. Right, that is it. Thank you so much for tuning in once again to the funniest tweets to the Dutch Grand Prix. I hope you enjoyed it. Obviously, the race wasn't the best, but at least we got an overtake for the win. Even if it was then a domination from there on, and we had K-Mag antics and all kinds of stuff. But thank you as always for the wonderful support on our watch-alongs, on our podcast. We love being back, and of course it's Italian Grand Prix race week. Can't wait. Ferrari delusion will be at its highest, and we'll see you then. Lots of love. Bye.